Hello everyone, it is the Afro Avenger here with another classic album review, and today's album is Milo Goes to College by the Descendents. It was released in 1982. We don't know the exact date, but we know that it was recorded around June of 1982. There is no chart information on it. It was released on the label New Alliance, and there are no singles as far as we know. So without further ado, let's get this started. This album is among the most influential albums for the punk rock genre, taken straight from the early days of the genre after proto-punk had fully blossomed into this heavy, angsty, aggressive sound with even angstier lyrics. A lot of this album is the blueprint for what would later become known as pop punk and melodic hardcore. It's shown through the Descendents' unique and rather quirky lyricism as well as their use of melodies, albeit mixed with heavy, distorted guitars. A little fun fact, this title of the album actually comes from lead singer of the band Milo Aukerman's decision to head off to college, leaving the band in a state of hiatus for nearly 4 years. That's only one interesting thing about this album, as there are quite a lot in fact. Something kind of typical with punk music is that within the lyrics there's a lot of cynicism, irony, sarcasm, and metaphors, but in this album everything is taken rather literally. Members of the band, who have all contributed to the writing of this album, have made comments on various tracks throughout. Here are only a few. Drummer Bill Stevenson had a hobby of fishing, and the track Catalina recounts a fishing trip he took to Santa Catalina Island in California. Guitarist Frank Nevetta's song I'm Not a Loser was a song of anger and envy towards those who were better looking and more attractive than him. The song Parents, also written by Nevetta, comes from feelings stemming back to his childhood with having a rather unfortunate relationship with his parents where they didn't even know he was a boy and treating him like a toy. Some things that really stood out for me on this album were tracks like I'm Not a Punk and Suburban Home. While listening and reading the lyrics, I was honestly thinking that perhaps they were being a bit sarcastic, but in fact they weren't, not even in the slightest. Bassist Tony Lombardo, who was actually much older than his fellow bandmates, has said of the song I'm Not a Punk as being a message of not wanting to be destructive like the stereotypical punk rocker is, and Suburban Home is literally wanting to live in a nice suburban home just like his parents. His main contribution lyrically was about wanting stability in life, and he sure delivered that message through these songs. Several tracks on here talk about love and longing, like Marriage, where they're talking about wanting to get married to a girl and not just being in a relationship for sex, but to have something that's real, like two really close friends. And Hope, which is about hoping that a girl the guy really digs will leave her current abusive lover to be with him, someone who will cherish her and always be there for her. Of course, all of the music is really heavy, and that goes on throughout the entire album. What I thought was interesting, though, was the fact that every track is extremely short. That kind of shows the band's whole attitude towards performing. Be as explosive as possible within a short amount of time. Most tracks only last roughly 1 minute, and a good chunk aren't even a minute long. That makes the album ultimately shorter than an average album, but it's kind of a philosophy for many punk bands, to just do your thing and keep it short and sweet, and I like it. Tracks like Bikeage show a bit of progressiveness, as it has a nice little intro before blasting into the actual song, as well as a nice bass line in between verses. That's another thing I have to commend. The bassist Tony Lombardo is so powerful on this record, and his bass lines really shine through on this one. A lot of the melodic value comes from the bass on this record, and it makes this album 100 times better than if it was just playing simple bass notes. Also typical with punk albums are social commentaries on politics and things of that nature. While there aren't a lot on this particular album, it's worth pointing out tracks like M16, which is criticizing those who join the army simply to shoot guns and blow things up, believing that they're serving their country by killing those different from them. They could possibly be criticizing the idea of the army as a whole, maybe, and the track Statue of Liberty is simply about being dumbfounded by the Statue of Liberty. It's not clear as if there's any form of social commentary in it, and I believe all it is just being confused as to why we cherish it so much and why it's here. Overall, fantastic record. It's short, being only 22 minutes long, and that may be a little too short for some considering how amazing this album is, but it's all a part of the art of punk, and I think it was cool how each song was just a short burst of full 100% energy instead of dragging out the songs. Each track was so aggressive and filled with that angsty, earthy type of feeling that we all love, and while the production felt primitive, that's mainly due to it being very underground during its era. We don't even have the exact release date. But anyways, I definitely recommend this album to anyone who is into punk rock, of course, pop punk, proto-punk, hardcore, and melodic hardcore. Well, that does it for this review. I hope you all enjoyed, and I thank you all for watching. If you did enjoy this video, please hit that like button and also subscribe if you want to see more, and if there's a song or an album that you want to see reviewed on this channel, please leave a comment down below, or check out my Facebook or my Twitter. The links are in the description. But that does it for this video. I will see you all in the next one. So long.